The United Kingdom has just sent a shockwave through its immigration system. And if you or someone you know dreams of studying or working in the UK, you need to stop and listen to this. In a move that has been both sudden and severe, the government has begun to enforce rules that can tear families apart, forcing skilled individuals to choose between their careers and their children. We're not talking about a proposal anymore. We're talking about decisions being made right now. Just days ago, a group of 34 brilliant Palestinian scholars, some on the UK's own prestigious Chevening scholarship, were evacuated from Gaza to take up places at top British universities. They were given a lifeline, a chance to study in safety. But at the last moment, a devastating catch was revealed. Nearly all of them were told they could not bring their children. This isn't just a headline, it's a stark warning. The UK's campaign to slash immigration numbers is no longer a distant threat. It's a present reality with heartbreaking consequences. What happened to these scholars could be a sign of what's to come for many others. Stay with us as we break down what this means, why it's happening, and how it could affect your future plans to move to the UK. Welcome back. The story that is unfolding right now in the United Kingdom is a critical one for anyone with an eye on international study or work. It centers on a group of 34 Palestinian students who were granted the opportunity to study at esteemed British universities. After months of campaigning by academics and politicians, these students, including doctors and highly sought-after Chevening scholars, were evacuated from the conflict in Gaza. They were set to arrive in the UK to begin their new academic lives. But for many, the relief was short-lived. The UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office sent an email just days before their evacuation, delivering a crushing blow. Their children would not be allowed to join them. Imagine the situation for a moment. Mana al-Hubi, a PhD candidate accepted at Glasgow University, was told she would have to leave her husband and 3 young children behind in a tent in Khan Yunis. Speaking to the BBC, her words captured the impossible choice she was being forced to make. "We are family, we are one unit, we cannot be separated. It is impossible for me to leave my children behind." This decision immediately sparked an outcry. The Refugee Council and the University of Oxford voiced their deep concerns over the government's move to block the entry of about 20 children. Enver Solomon, the chief executive of the Refugee Council, described the policy as excessively harsh, stating that no one should be forced to choose between their education and their family. He emphasized that family reunion is a lifeline, not a luxury, and is crucial for helping people recover from trauma and contribute fully to society. The University of Oxford, a designated university of sanctuary, echoed these concerns, highlighting the risk of losing talented Gazan scholars who have very young children. In the face of this backlash, there has been a hint of a possible change of heart. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, when questioned on the BBC, acknowledged the concerns. He stated, "I don't want to cut across the decisions that the new Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, and the new Home Secretary are making, but they will have seen that broadcast, and I know the intent is to bring people to study and not to cause them further pain or hardship." This statement, while not a firm commitment, suggests that the public and institutional pressure might be forcing the government to reconsider its stance in this specific, high-profile case. But it is crucial to understand that this is not an isolated incident. Instead, it is a direct consequence of a much larger, deliberate strategy by the UK government to drastically reduce net migration figures. This case serves as a powerful and distressing example of how broad policy changes are being implemented on a human level. To understand how we got here, we need to look at the recent history of UK immigration policy. For years, the government has been vocal about its goal to lower the number of people coming into the country. One of the main targets of this crackdown has been the dependence of international students. Statistics from the Home Office revealed that in the year ending December 2022, around 136,000 visas were granted to the dependents of students, a staggering 8-fold increase from just 16,000 in 2019. In response to these figures, the government took decisive action. Starting from January 1, 2024, a major rule change came into effect. Most international students coming to the UK for taught courses, such as bachelor's degrees or most master's programs, were no longer allowed to bring their families with them. The only significant exceptions were for students enrolled in postgraduate research programs, like PhDs, or for those on government-sponsored scholarships for courses longer than 6 months. This policy has already had a massive impact. In the first 3 months of 2024, the number of dependents accompanying international students plummeted by nearly 80% compared to the previous year. While the government might see this as a success in its mission to control migration numbers, which have indeed fallen sharply in 2024, universities and student advocates have warned of the consequences. They argue that these restrictions disproportionately affect women and students from certain countries, and may push talented individuals to choose other study destinations like Canada or Australia, ultimately harming the UK's prestigious education sector. Now, let's talk about what the user referred to as independent visa cancellation. This isn't an official legal term, but it perfectly captures the spirit of the current situation. It refers to the government's power to effectively cancel a family's ability to stay together by targeting the dependent visa. A dependent's visa is entirely reliant on the main visa holder. If the main applicant's visa is curtailed, refused, or if they must leave the UK, the dependent's right to remain is automatically cancelled. What we are seeing now is a proactive cancellation of this route altogether for most students. By banning dependents from the outset, the government is preemptively severing that family tie in the context of immigration. This is a crucial warning sign. The recent case of the Palestinian scholars, some of whom are on government-funded Chevening scholarships which officially advise against bringing dependents, shows how even those in exceptional circumstances are being caught by these strict rules. The government initially supported their evacuation but then applied the new, harsh dependent rules, creating immense distress. This brings us to the path to long-term settlement, or indefinite leave to remain, known as ILR. For many who come to the UK to work or study, the ultimate goal is to build a life and settle permanently. The journey to ILR is typically a long one, usually requiring 5 years of continuous residence on a qualifying visa. However, the government is actively looking at making this path even longer. An immigration white paper released in 2025 proposed increasing the standard qualifying period for ILR from 5 years to a daunting 10 years. Think about what this means. If you come to the UK on a work visa, you might have to wait a full decade before you can apply for permanent settlement. During this entire period, your status, and that of your family, remains temporary and subject to the ever-changing winds of immigration policy. Combining this with the aggressive stance on dependents, the future for families looking to move to the UK appears increasingly uncertain. The government is not just making it harder to come, it's making it harder to stay and build a life. Other proposed changes, like reducing the length of the graduate visa and imposing stricter English language requirements on partners, all point in the same direction: a more restrictive, less welcoming environment. So, what is the big takeaway from all of this? This is a clear and deliberate policy shift designed to fix what the government perceives as a problem of high immigration. The dramatic fall in net migration figures in 2024, driven largely by the 86% drop in student-dependent visas, shows these policies are having their intended effect on the numbers. But behind these statistics are human stories of separation and hardship. The case of the Palestinian scholars is not just a news story. It is a case study. It demonstrates that the UK government is willing to apply its strictest rules even in the most sensitive of circumstances, and that even a potential U-turn only comes after significant public outcry. For anyone planning to come to the UK, whether as a student or a skilled worker, the message is stark. Do not assume you can bring your family. The rules that exist today may not be the rules that exist tomorrow, and decisions can be made at the last minute with devastating consequences. The dream of studying at a world-class university or advancing your career in the UK is still possible, but the landscape has fundamentally changed. It now comes with a potential price that many will find too high to pay: the separation of their family. The government's intent is clear: to reduce immigration numbers, and it is using the dependent visa as a primary tool to achieve that goal. This is the new reality of UK immigration. It is a system under pressure, a country re-evaluating its welcome, and a future that is, for many, more uncertain than ever before. Thank you for joining us for this critical update. The world of immigration is constantly changing, and staying informed is your best defense. If you found this video educational, please consider liking and sharing it to help others understand these important developments. Subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis on UK immigration policies. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest information as it becomes available. Until next time, stay informed and stay safe.